Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to a new live stream. Excuse me. Today we're gonna live stream for a couple of hours, and we're gonna try to make a couple of rough paintings during this live stream. At least that's the goal for today. I hope we can succeed in that. Excuse me, there's something in my throat. So we'll start with a nice blank canvas, and with a blank mind on what we should paint. I think I'm gonna do sci-fi stuff. I did 2 videos on sci-fi vehicles. They're somewhere on the channel, so if you want, you can check those out. And I kind of want to do some alien landscape, maybe with some aliens. So we're gonna quickly go in and start painting. I think I'm gonna do things a little different for me, at least. The things that I've done is use photographs as a sort of a way to get going. It's my image size, 5,000 pixel size. That seems to be okay. Wait a second. Oh, I should create a new layer, because I locked the background and the border, so I cannot actually accidentally select the wrong layer. It's a good thing to do. So for this one, we're gonna start black and white, which is kind of new for me. I practiced it a little bit this week, but still, it's fairly new, and yeah, we kind of have to start with some ID. What do we want? Do we want rocks, trees, a combination? I don't know. Let's just get some shapes down. The problem is, well, problem, is it really a problem? This big brush, it's fairly slow. As you can see, it lags my PC a little bit. But I'm gonna switch to smaller brushes soon. So I think I'm gonna fill in the entire thing with some form of gray. We're not working on an entirely white canvas, so in the end we will end up with a sort of fairly dark overall feel, I think, which is okay. And what do we want? Do we want some? I think we want some buildings. Maybe there's some rock stuff, and let's probably some mountains in the background. So we need to figure those out. And we keep it really rough, because we can refine this. And I found this a quite nice method to get going, because in a couple of minutes, in a minute or two, you can sort of fill your entire canvas with paint, and from there you can start to work. This could be a tree, this could be a building, this could be anything really. It's just your imagination, and if you start using that imagination, you can make it into anything you like. So yeah, I found this a really nice method. Also because you don't have to worry about color at this point, so you can just stick with the values, and I don't know, it's new for me, but I kind of like it, this way of working. So still not sure what we're gonna do here. Whether we're gonna make this a tree or a group of buildings. I think maybe a combination, but I'm kind of into trees these days, with sort of huge trees with buildings integrated into them. So sometimes it's hard for me to make something else. So we're gonna try, and let's not make it a tree, but just a sort of haphazard tower of sort of buildings, and I don't know, maybe some guys threw this together, or not just some guys, but a bunch of them. This is almost a town. This is a little bit too dark, I think, but that's the beauty of black and white. We're gonna grab a slightly lighter variant, and then we're okay. And as you can see, I'm just blobbing down shapes and blobs of paint at this point, but that's just to create the overall feel, to create some substance to the canvas. And yeah, I like to be really quick, which is sometimes a really a big downfall for me, because sometimes I'm just too quick and too rough. But I think in these early stages it helps to be really quick and rough, and you don't waste too much time getting an angle perfectly or worrying about perspective and stuff like that. You can always finish that. I think this is maybe it's slightly leaning towards the. You can see it's slightly leaning towards the left, but I think we're gonna keep that in to give it a little bit really jagged feel to it. It's not engineered properly, so to speak. So I kind of want to have a sort of a road, something going here. So maybe we can put stuff on the road, and maybe we get some machinery stuff here that's harvesting rocks or whatever. We kind of have to work out the skill, but we can make the machines or whatever they are really big if we want to. Compared to the housing, that's not a big deal. That's entirely possible. I mean, this is our world. We can do whatever we want with it. Maybe some epic clouds, something. I kind of want to have some form of a little bit of light going across here, so this dark tower thingy sticks out, compared to the rest. Maybe this is a rocky outcrop, perhaps. And these can all be mashed down together, buildings, stuff like that. We have to detail quite a lot of it, but we can do that, of course, later. As soon as we are sort of happy with the overall feel of this, we're gonna move on to a new one, which is gonna be a whole. Of course, we're gonna. I have a canvas of 3. So we're gonna do 3, and we're gonna start really rough, and then we're gonna, of course, we're gonna refine those 3. This is probably lighter here. Yes. I think I'm gonna go with a slightly more opacity on my brush. That's also new for me. Normally I sort of use 80%. It depends. I switch around with the opacity of my brush. It's really depending on what I wanted to achieve. If I want to blend sort of a landscape together, I can go down to something like 30 even. But for this, but normally I'd stick around 70–80% opacity. Actually, never really higher than 80. I never really go to 90 or 100% opacity, because then the paint just, I don't know, it doesn't blend at all at 100%. Maybe at 90 it does blend a little bit, but at 80% it just, you get this sort of fairly hard line of paint, but for some reason it still kind of blends just a tiny little bit, and that's just enough to set it apart from just to make it really okay, really good. So yeah, still you can't not really see what's going on here, but that's not really the goal at this point yet. It's just to get the overall feel, and to help with the feel, I'm putting down lights. So the lights on the city, something like that. So I still kind of want to get some sort of harvesting machinery or stuff like that going on here. Maybe there are some shiny rocks, or I don't know, stuff that they want to harvest, which would be kind of cool. But yeah, maybe there's a river going down here, but I always tend to sort of put rivers in, and I don't want a river this time. I want a road, but I don't really think that the change in opacity is really, or not opacity, in value is justified there. We have other ways to sort of indicate that it is a road, I think. I kind of like the jagged feel that we got from using that huge brush on these rocks. It's kind of cool, so maybe we can stick with that and make them really stick out and rough, and not a nice place to be, so to speak. Not necessarily really adventurous, of course, but you know, a lot of video games and films will go to places you don't necessarily want to be, but for some reason we all want to see that, because I think deep down we all find our lives a little bit boring, and a lot of us, I think, wished they were born in more adventurous times. But that's why I think that's the main reason why we write books and make movies about stuff like this. All right, I think we got the first sort of impression down. I think we can move on to the next one. So it's a whole new adventure now, because we start with a blank canvas again, and what do we want to do this time? You know, I think I want to keep them sort of slightly in the same theme. So maybe different angles and stuff like that, but I at least all the sort of the same planet, things like that. Or yeah, a couple of sides to that. You can make them all sort of the same theme, but you can all make them also quite different, so that you have different. I don't know. We're gonna just go with what we like. I'm gonna just grab the brush and throw down some brush strokes and enjoy it being really slow. Not really enjoy that, but it is what it is. I'm gonna just haphazardly throw down stuff. I tend to work better when I have stuff on the canvas and have stuff to work about. I really sort of freeze, and I think a lot of artists or aspiring artists, I don't really see myself. Do I see myself as an artist or as an aspiring artist? Probably. I think a lot of artists and aspiring artists suffer from the same sort of problems, that staring down a blank canvas is really freezing you up. Well, at least I have that, and it's not a necessarily a really nice feeling, because you don't really know what to do. But once I start to throw down stuff, no matter how crappy it is, I start to see things. You know, this could be a mountain range in the back. But when I threw down that sort of those brush strokes, I had not really a clue that I was gonna make those mountains. And sometimes you start with a clear idea in your head, and then you know you have to sort of stick to that idea, I guess, and work out how you can put that idea down on a canvas. But today I'm just gonna go relax and sort of see where we end up, and yeah, it's a little bit of a different approach, but it can get nice results, I guess. Well, hopefully we can get some nice results today. So maybe these are mountain ranges. This is a bit of a standard composition I tend to do a lot. So maybe that's, yeah, I sort of run back to this idea of mountain ranges in the back, some foreground object, 2/3 on the canvas. It's just sort of defaulted in my head, and I see that I run to that a lot. So now I'm thinking, should I stick with it, or should I just go on a rampage and see if you can sort of get rid of that ID? I think we should get rid of that ID. Let's go ham and some strange stuff. Not sure if this is gonna work, but who knows? We'll see. I want something different. So maybe let's do the waterfall. Or I think I'm gonna make a waterfall. Let's put it down there. Let's get rid of this. We still sort of have this somewhat same-ish canvas ID. I think I want to cut off the waterfall like there, maybe a little bit lower. I still want to have some background and maybe some distant mountains, but we're quite low down on the ground and sort of looking up. This one, well, that's what I just made out of it. So there's some mountains here. We probably need darker color for this. Too dark, but and then I can practice waterfalls because I'm really bad at painting waterfalls. Really bad at sort of where does it come from and how is it working up here, so to speak. Sort of it's falling down, but it has to come from somewhere, and I'm sort of really bad at figuring that out and putting it down on the canvas. And maybe I should just not worry about it and just put it down. And there's a big stream sort of coming here. I think it's the water is spreading out. But maybe we could make this a big river thingy. Maybe. There's a lot of rocks and stones and things in the middle. Yeah, I think that's probably okay. Maybe we can build some sort of an outpost here, bottom of the river. So this looks a little bit fantasy-like, but of course we could do a sci-fi painting and fantasy painting in one session. Why not? But I think I want to figure out a way to make it more sci-fi looking, but we can do that. Let's draw this in really rough. We don't necessarily need to see the sky up here. Let's make this rocks or whatever it is. Fill it in really rough. Don't worry about details and stuff like that. And some of the roughness ends up being details. But that's really cool, this approach. I think I'm gonna get rid of a little bit of the river. We have sort of a river bank here. Maybe with some form of vegetation, not necessarily grass. I don't know if there grows grass on the planet, but who knows. I probably should have said in the title that these paintings, that I want to do sci-fi paintings. But painting is a painting, whether it's sci-fi or a nice idyllic landscape. Well, this could be a nice landscape, of course. Alien planets don't necessarily have to be evil. Sort of like to make them evil because that gives a great story, but why should they be evil? So I got this general idea, but I'm still not sure what to do with these. I could make these into buildings, or imagining sort of maybe crystal-like structures, or like crystal balls sort of shining and shimmering. I don't know, I have some ideas now. in my head what I want to do with this, and that's a good. I think once you have that, then you're sort of good. Then you probably can move on to the next sort of sketch because you know what to do with it, and then that's sort of the idea of this rough first stage. Get the ID down, and other people don't necessarily need to understand it yet, because at this point it's for your own sort of ID generation. So yeah, I think I'm gonna probably get rid of this building thing. Let's make this into those sort of roundish rocks. Sort of get the theme, keep the theme. So this is just purely a landscape at this point, but probably gonna add some interesting stuff to it later. Let's move on to the third and see what we can do with this one. No clue yet, but I think I want to do trees. So we're gonna go really rough. These are my trees. They look great. Don't question it. I'm just doing it, going up and down and filling this in because when you're in the forest, there are a lot of trees in the distance, and I don't necessarily want to paint every individual tree. So I'm going really rough on this one, and hopefully I can put some trees in it, of course, but hopefully then it will read as a forest a little bit easier. So that's the reason why I'm doing this. And of course we're gonna add some substance to this. We're not gonna leave it like this because you still cannot really see what's going on here. There's a couple of lines sticking up. I'm really having to fight the idea to put housing on the trees. I made a couple of thumbnails this week with that, and that idea stuck in my head. I kind of like that, as sort of people using sort of epic tree houses. Maybe we're gonna do some epic tree housing. Why not? Could do that. No one knows. Yeah, now you know that I that I made those thumbnails, but well, we could make the trees really really interesting. That's also a way to make this appealing. But let's go a little bit darker for the foreground. I think I'm going from quite dark. I'm going from a pretty dark values here. This is slightly lighter, and this is even lighter. So I'm going from really dark to to pretty bright. But that's probably because I know why that is. That's because I picked the sort of the color or the value that I'm gonna use on my next one from this one. But because I'm at 60% opacity, it's being toned down each pass. So if we keep going like this, in the end we gonna end up with really light paintings. But we can stick some more dark values here because we kind of want to make this quite dark because of forest, especially if you have a lot of trees and a lot of vegetation. It's not really a light place, especially during summer, which sounds strange, but in fact it isn't, because there's a lot of trees, a lot of leaves on the trees, if they're not evergreens, of course. So there's not much light hitting the bottom. I'm gonna add some light spots here and there, really rough, but it's gonna be it for now. What do we want? We could make this sort of mangrove. And I think we can do some cool stuff with the trees. Make them really looking. Necessarily sort of the default trees that we know here. Yes. Oh, the default trees. I mean, is there such a thing as a default tree? A lot of variation here on Earth as well. So I think I'm gonna. This might even take the longest of all because I want to make the trees a little bit go on with the second sort of phase, and before we start to add color to this, because that's what we're gonna do. Throw in some color. I'm just gonna grab some photographs and throw them over the sketch. I'm gonna use those photographs as our color palette. Saves a lot of time, and you can sort of instantly see excuse me, if a color palette is cool. Thank you for the kind words, Lapinlo. Yeah, I'm still learning. So there's so much to learn with painting, and I've enjoyed painting sort of and drawing for my entire life. As soon as I sort of could grab a pencil, I started drawing, but I kind of wanted to take it to the next level, and I thought, wouldn't it be cool if other people sort of can share that journey together? And because I think there's a lot of artists and cool stuff on YouTube, definitely, and you can learn a lot from them. But you never tend to really see the struggle of people trying to become a better artist, and sort of the bad stuff and things like that. So that's sort of the goal of the channel here, to show the journey of becoming an artist. So hopefully that message is coming across. And I think I'm gonna try to live stream a lot more, because I think live streaming is a better way of showing. When you're editing a video, you can edit stuff out and things like that. But with live streaming, it's sort of it's all real. I think that's the better way to show that. I think we need to add a little bit more interesting stuff here. Maybe some people, or yeah, why not? We could add people. Where do we want to add them? Somewhere here. Do we want to make the trees huge, or we could make a character like this? Then you'd imagine that the trees are really huge, but they're actually not that big. But we could also do it like this is going to be your guy. I think that this one is better. Second one. Let's make this a guy. I'm not very good at drawing characters, so that's definitely something I need to start learning. Yeah, I'm really into forests lately. They're really cool, I think. You can do a lot of interesting stuff with it. Let's add another guy back here. It's a little bit further back, so we can make him smaller. Maybe we can add a vehicle later. He has a big head. Wow, you had such a head. I don't know, you certainly run into issues. Go back. This is better. So this is the really rough stage done, I think. There's a whole lot to be improved, but that's what we're gonna do now. So I'm gonna browse through my pictures. I should download more of these. I don't really want to spend the time, but I got this sort of folder with reference pictures, and got this folder new pictures, and which I save them all. You know what? Let's browse them here. So you guys can see what's going on. That's just all these random pictures of buildings and landscapes, cool pictures. There's not that much, so I probably should start downloading some new ones, just random from Google. Yeah, maybe we should. We want to make the forest green, probably. Let's try this one. It's gonna grab some random picture. No, not really random, of course. We're gonna sort of want the picture to fit the painting here, and then we're gonna throw it over. And that's a trick that I learned. Now you have this picture, but I always use filter, blur. I always use a motion blur, but I think I'm gonna use it. I always blur the picture a little bit so you cannot see the not perfectly see the original picture, and then I'm gonna get a nice layer style or to blend it in with the original picture. Light is kind of cool, but I think we're gonna go with soft light. I'm gonna stay there, and as you can see, it fills in the picture with some colors, and because there's a lot of things to fix now, but we have a color palette now that we can start picking from, and we can use to paint a picture. So that's how I add color to my paintings. It's a really quick way. What do we want for this one? What kind of color? A lot of green, maybe some blue. And the bluish is kind of cool. This would be really cool. I'm not sure if that's gonna work though. I mean, the colors are probably gonna work, but I'm not sure if this picture is gonna work to get the color that I want. We'll see. Throw it on here. Blur it, and it's the layer style, and yeah, it adds so. Yeah, we could of course lower the opacity, but then we lose the color. It adds so much noise that it's not really that useful. But maybe we can check whether we have a similar color. This is quite similar, so we could try this. Grab it, throw it on here. Get close. So the pictures that we're using for this have nothing to do with the subject matter that we're painting. Bridge is kind of annoying, but it brings in a nice color, and it's all about the color. Probably gonna get rid of the color on the bridge, but I like this combination of this blue and this green and yellow, and we probably can get rid of the bridge quite easily. This is a little bit annoying, but if we do it like this. Quite interesting. Let's keep it like this for now. And for the last one, yeah, the forest. What do we want? The forest is probably some nice green. Ah, look at this. Nice red panda. Everyone loves pandas, right? But usually it's the it's the black and white one, the giant panda. I think this one is cuter than the giant panda. Come on. So let's use the panda, or hopefully we can use the panda. I'm not sure. This gives a kind of cool vibe, quite dark. Of course, we see the panda way too much, but we can get rid of the panda. Pains me, but we can get rid of him. Multiply is quite strong. If we lower the opacity and forget about the panda. I mean, if the panda weren't there and just this, yeah, I think that color can work. Yeah, I'm gonna stick with that. So we're gonna lock all these layers. So I have to lock them individually, right? Or am I really sure that I want to do this? Because if I'm sure, I can just merge all the layers together. Yeah, let's do that. There's no point in keeping layers if you're quite sure that you want to keep it like this. So the way I do it, because if I flatten them now, I think that works, by the way. Work, yeah. Change it. Sometimes it sort of changes the overall look because the layer effects all get meshed up. But now it kind of works. All right, which one do we want? Yeah, let's just start with the top one. Let's lock this one, grab a new layer, and yeah, we're gonna go ham on this. So this took about a little bit over 30 minutes, and in 30 minutes we have 3 sort of good starting points, I think. Where's my pen? Oh, it's over here. Do I want to keep this brush? I think this is a fairly decent brush, actually. Quite rough, but works. And now we need to be a little bit more careful with the detailing and things like that. But now it's just mainly detailing, and yeah, that's about it. Need to figure out how we're gonna go with those mountains, but kind of like this sun going through the mountains. Hopefully we can make that look nice, but I think we can. And the sky is also really nice already. I think I'm just gonna keep the original sky from the photograph and add change the sky from the painting to match photograph, and then I think we have a lovely lovely little sky here. And I usually just start with stuff that I'm comfortable with, that I know that I don't mess up easily. So that helps building confidence. And if there are sort of more difficult parts, then you have built up some confidence. It's easier to do the more difficult parts. So that's why I'm just scribbling away at the sky, because I'm feeling quite comfortable editing the sky. I think I want to make this into mountains as well, so I'm gonna add some idea of faraway mountains. I think this one can turn out quite nicely. Problem is, it was supposed to be sci-fi. I started with the idea of making this sci-fi, but I get a much more fantasy feel to it. So maybe we just ditch the sci-fi and make it fantasy. Well, of course, to be honest, sci-fi is just fantasy in space, right? So it's a bit of the same. But there are a lot of things that are associated with fantasy and other things that are associated with sci-fi. Still working with 60% opacity, and for now, currently, I'm really happy with that. Perfectly. Mixing up the mountains. Probably fix this up a little more, get the blue in. Blend this a little bit better together. Do we want some? Can blend this. Hopefully you guys are enjoying the content. And if you want to see more live streams, just let me know, because I'm sort of between two worlds here. I kind of want to do the videos, but the live streams are, I don't know, I really enjoy it. Just painting away and yeah, not worrying about editing and stuff like that. It's kind of relaxing. So. So the landscape is coming together quite nicely, I think. I think we keep the stuff here. I think these are quite cool mountains back there. Is this a rainbow? I don't remember. Yeah. Once we start painting over it, it's gone. And I like to be fairly quick and fairly rough. And the beauty about landscapes is that you can be really quick and rough, because the landscapes are rough and not totally random, but there's a bit of randomness to them, and being really quick and rough, you have those sort of random mistakes and things that makes a landscape natural, I think. You don't go and think about how would this work and how would this twig be, which way does this tree grow. If it's 5 degrees to the left, nobody is gonna care. Why am I making this a landscape? This was supposed to be housing, but we're gonna have to worry about that fairly soon. It's a rocky outcrop here. Maybe there's a lake down here. Small. Something like that. Let's see how long I've streaming for. 43 minutes. At the 1 hour mark, I'm gonna take a short break and grab some coffee and things like that. But that's 15 minutes away, so it's gonna take a while before we hit that. Hopefully, we will be done with the first pass on this this one by then. I think we will. Why is this lighter? I don't know. It is. Right, I think so far it's quite good. Quite happy with it. But now this structure is going to be a little bit more interesting. I probably should have detailed it a little bit better with the sketching, but I didn't. So now we have to worry about it. Let's do that. About this thing for now. Some be really rough and not worry too much yet about the details. Because if we do that, then we're gonna get stuck, I think. This roof, can make it wider. The roof as well, or is this a small platform? I don't know. Can think about that later. Want to have the overall form down a little bit better so you can see what's going on. Stake there. Just tilt out a little better. The roof. Things dangling down. Another roof. Can add some stuff here. Pillar. So the one. Probably should think about adding stuff here. Maybe a little tower. Oh. Probably should work a little bit with the values here. Make some stuff a little bit brighter so you can better see what's going on. There's all stuff that we can do. Or roofs. I'm just gonna add a lot of roofs now. If you have the sort of the roofs in place, then can start the rest of the details quite easily from that. Darker. Go. Yeah, I think that this is an improvement overall. I hope it is, at least. And we could add a couple of lights, but I think we're gonna worry about that once we at a later stage. Let's not follow up with that just yet. Some more. Just keep adding stuff, and then it will be fine. If you have a sort of a general ID, then just paint your ID, and then I don't know. It tends to work out for me, so I think that's probably a good way to approach it. It usually works out, so I think I'm gonna stick with that. Method. Might change it if it works. There's probably some shadow, a little bit more shadow down here. I need to blend in this housing a little bit better with the background, and maybe maybe separate them a little bit better from one another. So let's let's try to do that. I hope it works. Sort of one of my favorite methods. Use the lasso tool, grab a soft brush, apply the color. Can sort of separate stuff out from each other. It's really cool. Darker. yet. I think too dark. So now we have a little bit of separation here. I want to. Still don't know. I don't know the key to deselect all. It's probably should learn that. This is a quick, rough way to add some atmospheric perspective to your work. It's really a handy tool. So yeah, there's still a bit of work to do, but let's see if we can see the difference between the first rough sketch with the color added. But then we were at this stage here, and then we painted a little bit. So yeah, we can see some improvement, especially this area. I think this well, it reads a little bit as mountains, but I think it's not perfect yet, but it's getting there, and so we can focus on most of our work on this bit, and that's also the plan, because that's sort of the focal point of the painting. So that's good. I think we can move on to this one now and make this a little bit more detailed. So it's gonna be a struggle a little bit first, because moving to a new one, and then you sort of have to reset your brain, and not a lot of color in this one, so not sure if I'm really happy with this color now. I think I'm gonna add another layer of color to it. So we're gonna grab our pictures here. Is this something that we can use? Maybe. And throw it over this one again. So I feel that I could use some more color. Maybe it doesn't work, but if it doesn't, then I really like the areas here. Sort of, I don't want to get that effect going, but the glacier sort of makes it a little bit problematic. I think we can get away with this if we lower the opacity to like %. Yeah, that adds a little bit of color and texture here. I think I'm gonna stick with that. Yeah, I think we cannot merge that. One is locked. Let's merge it and let's get going. On the right layer. Yes, yeah. All right. So same sort of recipe. Just gonna blend the texture. There's a lot more texture in this one, so this is slightly different. I'm also not only gonna paint the details, but also blend the textures a little bit better. See, with the painting. So it's a slight difference from the one above. So there wasn't as much texture in that one as in this one. The texture sort of helps adding detail and things like that. Is this really dead straight? I'm not sure. To figure that out, how that works. And I'm gonna do the same as the one above. So I'm gonna pick the areas in which I feel most confident with adding stuff, so I can build my confidence. And once I feel confident enough, I can do other stuff as well. Then I'm gonna move on to other stuff, more difficult stuff. And sometimes it takes a long time, and sometimes it just happens a lot quicker. I think we need to make this quite darker, like this purplish color. Maybe we can use that. There's one problem. I now know what the problem was. I didn't blur the image, so that gave us a lot of detail, but it also means that things like this glacier is really apparent. If we had blurred the image before we used it, then this was less of a problem. I'm not going back now. I'm gonna stick with what we have. And the glacier gives us some details which we can use. For instance, these rocks. So it's kind of cool. I need to blend the blue from the bottom and the not so blue from the top a little bit better, but we're gonna that will come eventually, hopefully. I have some. We have some new subscribers, so thank you for the subscription. Probably should, if I start to stream a little bit more, I probably should add some notifications on screen or something like that we have new subscribers. That's a good way for me to see that as well. On a waterfall. I think this one is gonna take the most work. I think. Not sure, but from what I'm experiencing so far, I think this one is gonna take a little bit more work than the top one to sort of get to a decent stage. But that's one of the issues, is this glacier thing. So I think I'm gonna focus on that first. Can get rid of that, then there is this line, so to speak, this line here. If that's gone, then it helps, I think. Try to get rid of that as soon as possible. Do I want the? I think I want to apparent at the top as well, so that's how we're gonna blend it. Rough. Be a little bit cautious later on. Slightly less opacity. Now we have, I think we blurred it a little bit better now. Or not blurred it, blended it together. So we get back to somewhat higher opacity. Bit of this line here. Sure how this is gonna look yet. Gonna quite rough looking, I think. And the top here needs some work as well. We don't want it to be this flat. Currently is. Gonna use this as our top. So yeah, that's well, it's getting somewhere now. I think if we get rid of the most of this being line, then we have a nice first sort of pass on this one. So quite some work to do though. Not sure if I want this blue here to be so blue. I think I want to tone that down. I'm gonna figure that out how I'm gonna do that at the later stage. Probably just with color balance, but to do that I need to merge the layers again. So I'm gonna do that once we done the first pass. Color balance or hue and saturation. Probably the latter, because then we can select the blues. We can just make a selection, of course, because the top I think is good with the colors. So it's all about that bottom bit that's bothering me. This over here is decent color. And we can make this misty, so maybe there's a lot of waterfalls and water above there. Sort of thing that we want to shine through. Yeah, I think for the first, well, if we get rid of this blue stuff here at the bottom, make that less blue, but more this tone, then I'm quite happy with that. But before we do that, we first need to get rid of the panda. But I see that I've been streaming for over an hour now. I have a bit of a cold, so that's quite annoying. So I'm gonna, oops, always do that. I'm gonna take a short break. I think a 3 to 5 minute break. I'm gonna put on a short break notice. I even have a nice little timer here, so I'm gonna set the timer. I'm gonna set the timer to 3 minutes. Can I make coffee in 3 minutes? Let's make it 4, not 34. 4 minutes. So thank you for watching so far. I will be back within 4 minutes. Don't go anywhere. So I'm back, taking some a sip of my coffee. I think we can get rid of this break screen timer. Let's just keep going. Wait a second. It's working? Yes, it is. So, last one. Let's get rid of the panda. Poor little fellow. Poor guy. He's gotta move. Gotta go away. I think if you get rid of the panda, I think that's the most important part here. As said, it is. Sorry, guy, but you have to go. Of course, there's a lot of other stuff we need to do here, but I really want to. We kind of want to have some radish in here as a tribute to our furry little friend. I think. How else are we gonna remember panda? Won't get rid of him entirely, so we need to figure out a way so that the panda can live on. Alright, let's some trees. I think I need a bigger brush here, come on. Don't be so scared. Throw on the big blobs of paint. Bye, little panda. See ya. 43% opacity. Wonder that it's taking forever to get rid of. See, is this? I think this is it for the tree. This tree is slightly darker. Bye bye. Get rid of this blue stuff here. The sky to be seen. Bye bye. Maybe some hints of sky in the top part, but I just have some fixing up to do here. As you can see, there is this big tree branch that's sticking out, but good thing is it brings in all sorts of color variations that we can use for a background, for some trees there, and things like that. So kind of neat. Wasn't maybe the best idea to use this panda because quite a lot of cleaning up that we have to do, but come on, doesn't love a panda. So. And it goes quite fast. See, big brush, strokes. I'm gonna use the red at the to remind us of the surface of the panda. Maybe we need the tree here. We definitely do some trees. This one is perfectly straight, maybe. Definitely want to draw some more. Forest full of trees. That's usually the idea of a forest. That it is full of trees. No, it's silly. I tend to forget that once, sort of when I draw a forest, trees and things like that, I think you can easily forget the background. So it can be quite difficult. I mean, when you have a sort of a nice mountains in the background, nice sky, then it's all quite easy. I have to how many trees am I gonna draw and angles. Big. So Panda is going, well, he still has his head. Not for long. Not anymore. He's entirely gone, but he lives on in our memory. As you can see, there's a lot of sort of variation. That's the problem of the picture that I used. There's a lot of variations between the trees in terms of values, and maybe not so much the value. The value is, if I squint my eyes, the value is decently okay, I think, between the trees. But the color is still off. But yeah, it can take some time to fix that. I think I'm sort of painting this entirely again, this piece. So yeah, it is definitely not the best idea to use that panda. But yeah, did. Loved him for it. Let's go into a little detail now. Need some light patches on the ground, but I think they need to be yellowish. So if you did, this is also quite yellow green. Makes sense. So that, I don't know. It's just need to figure out a way to make that forest more interesting, because now it's just trees. Okay, trees, yes, there's a lot of trees, but it has to be added some stuff to it, I think. So let's work a little bit more on that, and I think we need more variation in the background. Or is this stuff like this, spots, textures, things like that. So maybe we can grab some textures for that. I think the first thing we need to do now is focus on the trees. After this, of course, we need to blend this in. I think we can get some texture here. Maybe yeah. That's mainly because of the panda was here, but we can definitely use this texture here to give us the idea that to this forest than just a bland green background, because that's just really boring to look at. And this stuff is sort of blend this really quick and rough now. So I want to go on to the more important bits. That is sort of focus on the trees, because the trees are the focus here, the foreground trees. But yeah, we needed to fix the background a little first. So these roots are not too otherworldly. You have root systems like this on Earth, and if you dig up a tree, the roots are really cool. But we may add some additional interesting stuff to them. Probably should. Smaller trees. I'm not really feeling it right now, this one. The other twos, when I drew the sort of the sketch, it's quite okay, I thought, but now I'm not really getting anywhere with it. So maybe we're gonna have to let it sit for a while, come back to it, and figure out if we can do something with it. I think the base is just decent, I think, to make something cool out of it. But maybe we need to add some more interesting lighting. This floor. Light areas. I don't know. I think we're gonna let it sit for a while and come back to it. Come back to it later. So what we're gonna do now is gonna quickly check. As you can see, I've definitely done the most painting on the bottom one. So I think for the color, this one was actually quite good, but for the amount of work that it took to sort of spread that little color to the if we look at this, then I'm quite happy with the result actually. Yeah, it's okay. So I'm gonna merge those. So that's sort of the way I work. I paint a little bit, then I merge it with the layer down, and keep the oops, thought I had the marquee tool selected. Keep the amount of layers as low as possible. So we're gonna grab this, and we were gonna try to get the blues, that bottom bit down, but if we do this, then we should not worry too much about the saturation, but more about the it's not working at all. But color balance. This work if we were really we would just sort of reset the overall color. Let's try this. I know it really looks bad, but if we're gonna back greens, blues, a little bit of cyan. There's still quite a bit of blue, but I think it's not as pronounced as it was before. This is sort of a two-step trick. Let's see. So it was like this. Now it's like this. So it's either this. This. I think this works. I think this works better. I think it keeps the blue, but it's not that dark and saturated. So I think that's okay. And we could even play with it a little bit more with the color balance now. Now we are back to normal, sort of normal colors again. Could even make this more blue. It's blue. Green. Don't want to overdo this, but I think I'm gonna just stick with the result that we already have. So we're gonna lock a layer in, and then we can do another pass. So how long have we been painting for? 1 hour 20 minutes is the stream going on for. I'm not sure how long I'm gonna stream in total. I was planning on streaming a couple of hours, but I'm having this cold, and it wasn't that bad this morning, but it's sort of starting to get worse. So I'm gonna try to paint and stream for at least another hour, but if it sort of doesn't work out, we're gonna have to stop earlier. but then we might continue next week with these. Which is probably fine. And maybe I'm not sure if I'm gonna make them a super finished level or if I'm gonna keep them fairly rough. I kind of like rough paintings. Well, for several reasons. It allows you to make more of them, and I don't know, just have this cool feel to it. So add some stuff to the roofs. We have to mainly work on this structure here, because the mountains are fairly. If I would keep them like this, and I think it would be fairly okay. Now we're gonna work on the parts that need the work the most. It's sort of the quickest way to get your painting to a good level, because then your entire painting is sort of at the same finish level, so to speak. If I were to spend 3 hours on this structure, then this structure would be a lot better detailed than the rest of the mountains, so that then there's sort of a dispersed difference between the detail level, and that looks kind of weird. If you sort of keep working on the bit that sort of needs to work the most, then keep that detail level in the entire painting. And it sometimes allows you to say I'm done a little bit earlier, although you could a little bit more, but sort of slow, of quite low roofs, and some fairly large buildings. So one, and then this tower one. This is a little bit smaller. This one has a tower here. Second floor, whatever. This could be. And we probably want some form of a road. This village. So I'm gonna try to add that. Slightly darker. Well, slightly, quite a bit darker than the rest. So that it is possible to reach this village. Well, yeah, I think it's classified as a village. My book, at least. Initially, I wanted this to be housing. See the sort of lights shining. But, I'm gonna turn this into part of the landscape. So, a bit of that. Yeah, I think it's this one is coming along nicely. I think the theme is quite interesting. Building. Yeah, I'm fairly happy with this one. Add some support here and there. They're not just hanging there and like they can fall down any minute. Plus the building still looks a little bit weird because it's not necessarily something you'd expect to exist. And change this a little bit around. Necessarily should be. I think I'm gonna try to add some brighter surface here. Add some grass here and there. It's not too harsh, this environment. You can live there. Maybe hunt a little bit for animals, things like that. Add to the mountains a little bit. And I think that second pass did quite good. Yeah, we painted for a couple of minutes, but I think we gave it a nice little upgrade here. And we just keep doing this. We're gonna do total. We're gonna do 3 or 4 passes, something like that. Depends on how much we can improve, how much we think we can improve the painting by doing another pass. Usually you can improve the painting quite a lot by just adding a little bit. It's always surprising to see. I think I'm gonna grab my atmospheric brush here and start working on this a little bit, because this stands out way too much. Turn this one down a little bit, this one as well. So should probably is this forward? Yeah, probably. A couple of slight brush strokes. Yeah, that fixed quite a lot. Grab the paintbrush again. This is just a default chalk brush from Photoshop, so no fancy custom brush or anything. Just a chalk brush, and it's Photoshop CS4, so it's a really old version of Photoshop. I don't know what new features there are in with painting in the newer versions of Photoshop, the Photoshop CC. But I quite like this, and I don't really see any reason yet to upgrade, because you cannot buy it anymore. Photoshop. I bought this like 9 years ago, I think. So I've been using this one for a long time. That's why I know this version. But I assume that a lot of things haven't really changed. But probably definitely are a lot of new features. Also with the painting, I think there are some new features with the brushes and things like that, but not sure what they are and if they add a lot of value for me. I'm used to painting with this version, and yeah, it's working fine. But maybe in the future I will upgrade at some point. I haven't really looked into it that much, so maybe if I'd look into it, I'd see that it has a lot of value for me to use, but for now I don't really see that. I definitely need to rework this this river here. That's what we're gonna do. That's sort of one of the main features of this painting. So we definitely need to fix that. So now it looks garbage. Let's find it quite challenging to paint water, stuff like that. Well, especially water. But I maybe should study that a little. Because I don't necessarily think that this is the perfect way to do it. I think I'm gonna grab like 20% opacity and pass it like this. That maybe works. Not sure, it's a little bit too bright now. But we can sort of carve out areas that we want to have other details in. So we don't want this to be the river. This can go away. And we can add rocks and things like that now. This should probably further down to be nice. Now I'm working with 80% opacity because, especially for the rocks, I don't want the rocks to blend with the water because they stick out from the water. They're so different. So I kind of want to have a high opacity setting to make them stick out. Probably can do a couple of. Did we improve on this one? We went from here to here. I think it's an improvement. I think there's definitely a lot more to improve, but I'm gonna stick with it for now. I'm gonna work on the trees again. It's always I always say that I always do it as well. So we're gonna try and do stuff with the trees now again. I don't want to switch. I'm gonna switch a little bit more often now than in the beginning. So we probably need some light and shadows on these trees. So we need to figure out where the light comes from. As you can see, I have the light area here on the right side. So we probably should stick with that and make the light come from the right for all of those. So we're gonna slightly darker. It's probably wrapping some light around, some bounce light and stuff like that. And maybe the sun is high, so high up, so we can be quite liberal, I think, with how the light is working here. It's bouncing all around. It's fairly dark. And add some roots. We probably need something to make these roots interesting. Maybe there's something between those roots. Maybe some shimmering light, or I don't know. Them look awesome. The two little guys that I drew are almost gone, but I gotta remember to put them back in later. We could use this maybe as our light. It's a little bit too red, though it would be a nice tribute to our panda friend. Those who don't know what I'm referring to, I used a picture of a red panda, a tree to for the color palette of this painting. So that was a big, well, not big. There was a red panda here. Get rid of him. We want to pay tribute to the service of His Majesty the Red Panda. So we, in the end, we want to probably paint some of a reference to him. Just a nice little silly touch. Clean up those edges. See that I use a really large brush to paint those. I think I really like this sort of large specks and spots. I'm gonna do that all over the place, I think, and even slightly across the trees. That's perfectly fine. That's okay. And I think that adds a nice little texture and gives us a nice little details that we probably can use. And as you can see, the edges are a little bit darker, and initially I didn't really do it on purpose, but when I saw that, I thought, you know what, that's okay, because that focuses our view sort of into this area. So we don't, if we make this really bright, our eyes wander off to the side of the painting, and then whoop, we're out of the painting. And we don't want that. We want to keep the eyes on the painting, so that helps, hopefully. Well, I assume it does. My theory. I haven't studied art or like that, so I don't know a lot about the theory behind painting. I'm just stuff that I think is right. And of course, I've watched some a lot of. I love watching things do School of Design, those videos. Well, unfortunately, it doesn't make a lot of videos anymore, but I watch those a lot. Started watching them a couple of years ago. I thought, you know, that's cool. It does serve sort of as an inspiration to start doing more again with painting and drawing, because I enjoy painting and drawing. I've enjoyed it my entire life, but I want to get better at it, and this is the journey to it. So you can join me on the journey. So you're also gonna see a lot of not so great stuff and mistakes and things like that, but that's part of the journey. You shouldn't be afraid to make mistakes, but I think everyone is naturally, well, maybe not everyone, but I definitely am afraid to make bad work and make mistakes. So, but you shouldn't be. And the more you do it, the more you, especially in the early stages, things can look really rough, and then you can sort of get discouraged. Think, how is this ever gonna look great? But the longer you do this, the more you sort of know that if you keep at it and if you keep going, that your piece is gonna look good at some point. So you shouldn't get discouraged too early, because in the early stages of a painting, it can look really rough. most people don't start with perfect sort of no. I think it's for all the paintings. I mean, on the internet you see a lot of finished work, but if you see that work like 5 minutes in, when the guy or girl that painted it is just starting out, I think there's a whole world of difference between sort of 5 minutes in and the piece is done. That's something I really struggled with the sort of the first stages and going from the first stages to a more refined painting. I got discouraged really quickly. But doing this really sort of helped me getting through with things and continue. And then you can, in the end, you see that the piece coming together, and then you think, wow, maybe I can do this. And if you do that more often, then at a certain point, you know, well, it looks not great at the moment, but I know where I want to go with this. So let's just continue and see if we can bring it to the level that I want it to be. And at a certain point, you know that it works, and then you feel great. Don't get discouraged too quickly. I mean, that's sort of the killer to all ambition. I mean, we had this poster on in school. Well, how long has it been that I went to school there? I don't know. It's a long time ago, but we had this poster of a little guy holding a baseball bat, standing in a stadium, in an empty stadium, and just looking. And it said, beginner of the expert in anything was once a beginner, and that's definitely true. Everyone in the best baseball players, football players, or soccer players, or football players in America, American football players as well. Any sports guy or artist, or singer, or whatever. Everyone started somewhere. Everyone started with sort of, I think, the same level of skill. Is there such a thing as talent? Maybe there is. I don't know. Still not convinced. Sometimes I think, yeah, there's definitely people with talent, but I think it goes two ways. One, if you enjoy something, you enjoy doing it a lot, and if you do something a lot, you get better at it than someone who doesn't do it at all. Fairly quickly, especially in the beginning. I think sort of to get to a decent level with something is a fairly quick process. To be at the absolute top, I think that requires a lot of dedication and yeah, a lot of dedication and time and coaching. So most oftentimes, but to get to a certain decent level, I think, yeah, I think the improvement is fairly quickly in beginning stages of something. But someone who enjoys something a lot will most definitely have an edge on someone who does this. Well, not, yeah, has definitely an edge on someone who wants the same thing but doesn't enjoy it as much as the one who does enjoy it. And I think it's really important to do what you enjoy in life, because it's really difficult to keep doing stuff that you don't like. And you can't say that I want to get really good at singing, for instance, or even painting, if you don't really enjoy it in your heart. And yeah, then we'll never get as good as people who really enjoy it. I think that's an important message. Do what you enjoy, because that's usually the stuff you're good at, and that's quite logical. It goes two ways. Because you're good at it, you enjoy it more. But because you enjoy it, you're also good at it. So it's a sort of it goes two ways. It increases each other. I think. But that's just me rambling. Could become a philosopher, maybe. But I don't know if I'd enjoy it. Yeah, but just sort of rambling and painting at the same time, I really like it. It's a good sort of relaxing exercise here. Friday, it's almost weekend here, so well, almost. It's 12 p.m. So did we improve that? I think we improved the trees, but it's now it's just a sort of, it could be any sort of random forest. Well, of course the roots are a little bit strange, but for the rest it could be any random forest. So if we want to make that stand out, we have to add stuff to make it sort of stand out. This sort of stands out because of the structure, not necessarily because of the mountains, but mainly because of the structure. This stands out a little bit because of the rocks that are shaped a certain form, and we can make some nice shining stuff. Well, that's in the end the point of, that we're gonna want to do. And this is just a forest, but sometimes that's also okay. But we could add a couple of guys with maybe a vehicle or something like that, and then you can see, oh, these trees are huge, and then it instantly looks a little bit more epic. So I'm thinking, so yeah, I'm gonna continue for a little bit longer, but not too much longer anymore, because also starting to lose my voice slightly, so that's not good. It's not cool. So I don't think I can keep going for another hour. That's definitely not gonna happen. I think we're gonna continue a little bit more. I think at least 10 minutes. I want to get to the 2 hour mark at least. Then I feel that I have at least a decent sort of stream. The goal was to do a 3 hour stream for today, but I think we're gonna have to stop at the 2 hour mark. Maybe 2 hours and 15 minutes, but it depends on how the voice holds up. So gonna keep adding stuff. Oh, is my opacity 50%? That's could be good. I think I'm gonna bring in some textures later, but maybe not today. I think we're gonna continue this one next week, someday next week. It's kind of cool to sort of bring them to a cool, nice sort of finished level. And I think I'm gonna do that next week, and then we can maybe bring in some nice shiny textures and things like that to make these rocks look more interesting than that they currently are. What to add here? Let's try to sort of finish this. Still want it to be quite misty up here, so probably have to use the soft brush a little bit later on to get that feel going a little bit more. Break up this sort of straight line. Maybe there's some greens growing down here as well, so that it isn't just spontaneous growth up there, but it's also some halfway down. Adding some stuff to the mountains. Add the mountains, make them a little bit higher. Interesting, nobody. Well, it's just a background element, but Then I want to keep them fairly interesting. Right. Some stuff here. So we're gonna quickly go to this one at the end. Add some more detail. Yeah, I really like this one. It's kind of cool. It's a soul structure. A little bit lighter color to this thing here. Work a little bit on the landscape. I think the whole landscape is fairly okay. The texture really worked well with what we already painted, so it's really cool. So we don't have to worry a lot about background here. Just had to clean it up and then to go. That was really kind of work on the sky. More sort of blend a little bit better. Some as well. And yeah, really happy with the top one. Middle one is coming along nicely. The bottom one seems to be of a different category, but yeah, not entirely happy with that one. But maybe we can clean it up later. But yeah, we didn't quite make the 2-hour mark, but I really have to stop here. I'm sorry. Hopefully next week we can continue with these paintings, and I hope you enjoyed it. I certainly did. I think we made some nice, some interesting looking landscapes, and it was good to be painting again. So I think next week we will continue with the live stream as well. Maybe I have time to do a video also, but I'm not sure yet. The schedule is a little bit weird currently, so but we're gonna see. Hopefully you enjoyed it, and make sure to subscribe if you did, and like the video and all that good stuff, and I hope to see you next time. Bye!